The idea for this video was not straightforward to me. In the last 10 years, the changing mood of our country has brought me a lot of thoughts and feelings, not all of which seemed entirely productive to share in public. It just wasn't helping anyone. For a minute, I even started to give up on participating at all in the bigger political conversation, which was fine. My world shrank a little, I got on with my life. I worked on my graphic novel, fell in love, got married. Life was good. I may have a right to free speech, but I don't have a right to attention. Meanwhile, the world became a conflagration of insanity.
You will not replace us!
Every time I thought the din was reaching a crescendo, the next stroke was somehow louder and worse. And now, because of my flat earth debunking, I am starting to get a bit of attention. But I've grown a little less sure what to do with it. What could I possibly contribute to this mess that would have a net positive effect, but with a tolerable personal cost to me and my remaining relationships? If I'm already walking a tightrope, how can I intervene in a conflict? A few weeks ago, my wife and I were seeing current events, and our discussion turned towards strategy and activism, the very thing that I was resigned against. And as I began to face it, the words tumbled out of me. There's a whole graveyard here. That gave me an idea. Activism doesn't have to mean arguments or confrontation. This video is not more of that. But I realized the other side of outrage is tenderness toward things worth being outraged over. And maybe, if I kept this personal to me, while also specific to the grief that I might just have in common with some of the aggressors in this situation, that might be a safe and helpful way for me to use whatever amount of attention I might have. So I hope it's clear. My choice to express this is not because I think I have any right to do so, next to the much greater grief and a danger felt right now by certain others. This is just the best non-passive option available to me that I can find.
It's in Jesus Christ's name that we pray. Amen. Let's stand together and sing.
I was number 4 out of 5 children in a Christian homeschooling family. While my mom was pregnant with me, she was volunteering as the vice president of our county's chapter of the Right to Life organization. There's a day that the pro-life movement calls Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, based on the anniversary of the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision. In her 9th month, on that day, my mom was going to church, had just arrived, and was still in the parking lot when her water broke. So she and my family got back in the car and drove to the hospital instead. I was subsequently born on Sanctity of Life Sunday. While growing up, I had a good, loving family. There was nothing I was aware of lacking that I really wanted. And I had no reason to wonder if that could be partly because our ancestors had taken anything from someone else. Our church had an American flag at the back wall of the stage, and at the time, we really didn't think that was weird. We watched VeggieTales.
Oh no, what we gonna do? The king likes Daniel more than me and you.
God made you special, and he loves you very much.
We learned the religious roots of our nation, and we took pride in being a melting pot.
I wondered all day what it said about her. Would you read it to me?
Here
At our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. Keep ancient lands your storied palm, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
I can remember as a child actually feeling lucky that I was born here instead of anywhere else in the world. We started the world trend toward democracy, we helped save the world from Nazis, we made a giant leap of science to silence aggression in the Pacific with an apocalyptic smackdown, which I had no concept of being possibly avoidable, much less a war crime. We led the world into the space age.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And my wonderful, amazing grandpa not only lived to see most of that, but during World War II, he served as an army mechanic at Camp Irwin, now called Fort Irwin. We felt that America was founded on the Bible, and the love of that freedom was in our blood. Despite that, I always knew that vision of America was on the decline, and maybe already doomed. Some type of invisible end was approaching, just like it was for my grandpa, like it does, sooner or later, for everyone's grandpa. Only, from a very young age, I thought America already had a terminal diagnosis. I began my morning a long, long time ago. And pretty soon afterwards started taking off my rose-colored glasses. I found out the America I loved wasn't the America that everyone lived in.
There are literally two Americas.
Maybe that's why I wasn't carried along when things took an ugly turn. Someone had a vision of America that they didn't want to let die. And in their angry fervor, they were smashing things. For some, the idea was, we're saving unborn babies from being murdered. So it wasn't a tantrum, it was heroism, with victims and bad guys supposedly so evil that all countermeasures were justified, even supporting or excusing other evil. And not just a little bit, but a rising flood of other evil, causing the name of God to be endlessly reviled. This was not a calculated cost for overall progress toward goodness. This was a shift toward a reductionist binary value system that was intentionally blind toward the cost. In fact, it started to seem like this was never about unborn children at all. Maybe there are a few pro-life women out there for whom this is about soothing a deep, subconscious guilt over an abortion in their own past.
Olivia Gans Turner is the director of American Victims of Abortion. She regrets terminating her pregnancy in 1981.
Or maybe there are certain others involved for whom this is about something much filthier.
Hey there, welcome back to the show. This is Phil Vischer. You're listening to or watching the Phil Vischer podcast.
When Roe v. Wade was decided in 1973, the vast majority of evangelicals actually celebrated the decision. January 1976, again, still a Republican administration. At this point, it's Ford. The Ford administration makes a decision to revoke tax-exempt status from the first Christian school in the South because of its racial policy.
What school would that be?
Bob Jones University.
Why?
And Oral Roberts was not happy.
Because they would not admit black people.
Yeah.
We believe the narrative that the reason why evangelical Christians vote largely for Republicans was because of abortion.
Yeah.
That's not what started it. What started it was the desegregation of schools. And then eventually through political tactics realizing, well, we need to get more Northerners. Then they fed the abortion issue into the equation, and that's what coalesced around the Republican Party. But if you go back 100 years or even less, you'll see that there were a lot of Christians engaged in a lot of what we would consider liberal, progressive social reform movements that we now associate with the Democratic Party.
When does personhood begin? In the final analysis, I don't know. The best Bible verses on that seem a bit imprecise. When does abortion become murder? I have no idea. And neither does this guy.
Every child is a precious and sacred gift from God. And as the Bible tells us, each person is wonderfully made.
I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd grab him by the...
I'll be known as the fertilization president, and that's okay.
Some of us are apparently being exploited over and over for decades. They are playing good cop, bad cop, and when they finally gave us what they taught us to want,
Brett Kavanaugh's high school yearbook is under scrutiny today. On Kavanaugh's personal page, he calls himself a Renata alumnius.
What does the word alumnius mean in that context?
She was a great friend of ours. The media circus reported that it referred to sex. It did not.
In all, Renata is mentioned 14 times in the yearbook. You need a date and it's getting late, so don't hesitate to call Renata. She just found out that she's all over the yearbook and she's very upset. The insinuation is horrible, hurtful, and simply untrue, she told the New York Times.
By that time, I, the quintessential pro-life baby, felt sick to my stomach.
Overturned Roe versus Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
Constitution does not confer a right to abortion.
Those around me danced for joy, oblivious that they were trampling on the grave of everything I ever loved about America. The land of opportunity, the Christian nation, the nation that didn't secure rights for some by removing rights from others, the nation whose faith wasn't a stench in the nostrils of the world.
My country, 'tis of the stronghold of slavery, of the ice.
Maybe that America never quite existed outside my imagination, but all the same, instead of celebrate, I wanted to cry. That America is dead. And because they wouldn't let it go, it never got a proper funeral.
From every mountainside,
that's what this video is really about.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
Protect us by thy might, great God, our King.
I didn't just love my grandpa. I looked up to him. My last words to him, the night before he died, were basically, knowing you has made me a better person. He has a legacy that I want to honor and uphold, and if I'm lucky, maybe even build on. The only chance I have of doing that is by remembering the lessons that he taught me and by striving to be the best person that I can be. The same is true for our legacy of America. If we loved it, if we see a legacy that we respect and want to preserve, then we have to stop this macabre farce that it's actually somehow still alive. You can't make it great again by force. Like it or not, you are a new America. And I'm asking you, please, for the sake of everything we loved, stop it. Stop hurting people. Stop destroying your legacy. Come back here, face the grave, and pay your respects. Learn the lessons. Think about the ideals that you claim to defend. Because unlike the body in the ground, those are only as dead as you let them be by forgetting them and wandering astray. What are those ideals? It's all through the history and symbology of our country. Patrick Henry, orator of the famous "Give me liberty or give me death" speech, once quoted Proverbs 14:34 saying, "Righteousness alone can exalt our people as a nation. Reader, whoever thou art, practice virtue and encourage it in others." Yes, there was hypocrisy even then. But if America didn't stand for this, then it didn't stand for anything. This is the only even remotely coherent system of conservative American values, and it ties back to what Jesus taught as the two greatest commandments: love God and love others. Loving others might often be difficult to do, but it's not difficult to comprehend. It's almost the simplest idea in the world. Consider their needs and desires, and if possible, help care for them. Just be friendly. Be nice. Any child knows how to do this. What if someone doesn't share your God and they want something that you think displeases him, so you feel like you have to choose either love God or love others? Can you just push your beliefs on them as a sort of tough love? Well, not if it ruins the relationship and makes them curse him. What if the one and only thing they want is for you to respect their religion or non-religion enough to shut up about yours and not legislate it? What if they've come to find your beliefs so offensive that there's no way you can say a word without burning the bridge? What if love is the only language you can use that they would understand at all? You know, there's a saying now, there's no hate like Christian love. Okay, that stings, but don't swat it away. Let it sink in. We are destroying them. And don't give me that it's because they hate God crap. That's not what Scripture's talking about when it says they are enemies of God. It's possible to earn their trust back enough to share a word here and there. Yes, it's hard. It takes radical prudence, radical empathy, radical patience, and radical humility. It takes realizing that our job isn't to fix them. Our first job is to fix us. In Matthew 5:16, when Christ said, "Let your light shine," he didn't really mean, "Show them how awesome you are." We're a mess. That's not impressive to the world. The phrase "your light" refers to Him, our commitment to growing more in Jesus Christ every day, because we're not completely like Him. It takes visible progress in our lives toward a goal that's beyond ourselves, that's unattainable yet irresistible, to draw their eye off of us and toward heaven. That's what it takes to make an unbeliever voluntarily glorify a God they don't even believe in.
Well, the modern civil, you've been, I feel like you've been very respectful. I think very much to the credit of your religion.
You want to see that happen? Learn the pronouns. Make the wedding cakes. Vote for their equality and inclusion. Let them have romantic movie scenes. You can always look away. Normalizing their worldview doesn't hurt you. You're not going to save the movie's soul from hell. In their minds, there's no difference between affirming their worldview and affirming their humanity, right? So if you set your objections to their worldview out front as a blockade to affirming their humanity, then in a way, aren't you tacitly agreeing with that conflation? Oh, you never thought of it that way, did you? The gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. God made that person with beauty and dignity. Did you think that by devoting themselves to things that we might call sin, they were capable on this earth of destroying that gift to such a degree that you're off the hook for honoring it? Then Christian, you got some growing to do. And we better get used to this. In this country, the sun is way down on Christian dominance by any pure and innocent means, if there ever was such a thing. We have a growing population of neighbors. Atheists, agnostics, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, Yoruba, pagan, Wiccan, and yes, Side A Christians and the LGBTQ crowd with all of its supporters. Do you remember how Jesus said to treat neighbors? Okay, maybe you have kids that you're afraid might see a drag queen story time or a gay kiss in a Disney movie. Listen, one way or another, they will find out that gay and trans people exist. You sheltering them from that sense of normal means that you're afraid they won't choose gospel truth on its own merits. You're basically teaching them that the gospel needs a bit of spitshine from outgroup phobia. And then you wonder why there's a mass exodus of them leaving the church. Here's an alternative. When your kids see that drag queen or that gay kiss, you say, good, and use it as an opportunity to teach them what it means to respect and make room for different beliefs and different ideas of normal. The fields are white for harvest, and kids can help. Kids are amazing. They might even be quicker than you to grasp the true mind of Christ in a pagan society. But the bigger question here is, what are you going to do with the legacy of America? I'm just one person. Change happens when we all move at once because of things we have in common. And there are those who think that it's not too late. That in spite of everything, we all still share that capacity to reach for greatness. Not a forced, selfish greatness, but a greatness that was passed to us through generations. A greatness that was and is bigger than every generation. A greatness that we're not worthy of, but that we're blessed to reach for anyway. A new greatness that we share with more people, many of whom are all too ready to forgive the past, if only we will contemplate and grieve the loss and pay attention to the legacy moving forward. Will you do that? Can enough of you do that to turn things around? I don't know. Right now, it feels like we're diving into an abyss, but I want to hope. Let's at least give it a try. Shall we?
We're over here by QWERTY to talk about what we've learned today.
Is it possible that the right could be wrong. Will I get in trouble for singing this song? Is it time to look at history and say so long to some common misperceptions? Because I think I have to tell you something. I'm afraid that our political convictions didn't start with Roe v. Wade. And I don't want to chase you out of this place, but they kind of had more to do with race. And now I feel like I got a little egg on my face because compassion and love and grace is way more important than political convictions.
You pulled it together
All
in
right,
the end.
thank you. I think it's not changing soon, but I think it's changing.
Yeah.
Because the younger generation of evangelicals is showing that they're less partisan than their parents.